This game right here is an absolute milestone in gaming history. Hello again there, friends and fans, Raptor here, and I'm about to share with you some more news on Roadcraft, a game coming May 20th to PC and PlayStation, Xbox, everything else. From the makers of SnowRunner and, of course, MudRunner Expeditions comes this game of rebuilding almost a post-apocalyptic wasteland after earthquakes and floods and other storms have devastated the landscape. You're going to have to go through deserts and forests in order to rebuild factories and bridges and roadways in order to then restore, well, some sort of livelihood for people, or building it for the first time. This game has an incredible system that has come over from SnowRunner of how you drive through mud and sand and gravel, and also some additional systems from MudRunner that make it so exciting too, like driving through all sorts of different depths of water and being able to scan. But we have 8 different maps for this one that look incredible, from deserts to forests to almost like alien-like landscapes, although it is on Earth, but hard to recognize after massive storms and floods devastate the landscape. Now, what I've learned for news of this game is that we finally can actually salvage things from the land, take it back, and rebuild other things, and it looks like maybe we'll be able to handle the cranes ourselves, although it could just be a cutscene. But man, it would be some bonus points in a game that we need to have these types of systems in other games. I cannot stress this enough, how cool it would be to be able to rebuild bridges and structures in this manner using vehicles. So many games allow you to maybe go to an area and mine tons and tons of iron ore and then carry it back in a backpack as if you were a massive dump truck. But in this game, you could actually clear the path to resources and, tear down fences and move concrete blocks and things out of the way and debris in order to then get to like an oil field to then build or rebuild pipes for drainage or for oil or whatnot. And there's finally, for the first time, tracked vehicles too. Now, I'm going to technically call this a SnowRunner-like game, although it's completely different as it's a separate new kind of genre that we've never seen before. I am so excited to play games like Farming Simulator and Construction Simulator, and this combines everything that I've loved about those games, using systems like GPS and AI in order to transport things around, but doing it where we can build our very own roads and have the AI stick to it, and doing so with up to 4 friends. Man, that's cool as hell. Additionally, you can bring dump trucks into an area and then spread out the soil, so if you're trying to cross a pond that's full of mud, the days of looking for like an overturned, wheelbarrow or like a telephone pole or another vehicle to tow to are gone, because now we can finally build the bridges ourselves by literally building them out of wood or dumping soil and gravel and whatnot down to then pave a road. This game is a road builder. This game is a kind of a city builder. Like, we're building infrastructure for cities, restoring power lines and things like that. Things that would need to be built in order for a city to be built are here. And it's incredible to see all this equipment being loaded on and off trailers, because that's one thing that I've really enjoyed about Farming Sim in the past and Construction Simulator 2. And so now you can do these main missions and side quests with friends. Now, honestly, I'm a little disappointed of it being limited to 6 players. I think this is a massive undertaking, a huge game with being 8 maps and having to rebuild things like dams and levees, and being able to deliver endless amounts of sand is going to take lots and lots of truckloads. So honestly, I wish we could do this with maybe up to 10 people. Maybe that's something that could come in the future. But the systems I'm seeing here are really reminiscent of a game by the name of Out of Ore, but also a little bit of Farming Sim and, of course, Construction Sim. But SnowRunner is ever present here, as the driving and the ground deformation as you drive around are very, very present. Now, I've got to say, this is something that we need to see from all future games. To be able to use a bulldozer to clear a path, and then to be able to use a wheel loader in order to maybe level some of the soil, and then put it into dump trucks to bring it somewhere else to then build a beautiful, even road that then you can set up AI trucks to drive on, is really impressive. You build the road, and then you tell the AI to drive on that back and forth, delivering things like supplies and other things to and from your base. Now, also, we can salvage things from the world, as I mentioned, and put those into a dump truck and then bring them back to our base, smelt it into something else like a pipe, and then deliver that pipe to an objective. That's cool as hell. We're scavenging and we're salvaging things from the world. It is a post-apocalyptic game like that, after the world's been devastated by, floods and storms. Nobody's there, and it's like destroyed. like it's devastated. It's almost as if it's been 30, 50 years since the fall of man, but this is taking place in regions that haven't yet been settled, or regions that have been devastated by climate change and things like that. That's impressive as hell to see. And it's really cool to be able to use all sorts of different vehicles and to see these vehicles return from SnowRunner, or vehicles for the first time, some of which we've never seen since the days of Farming Sim, which is ever strong. But yeah, stump grinding in order to get a bunch of trees out of the way. You cut them down, move them to the side, maybe bring that lumber back to your base to then build a bridge, grind all the stumps out of the way, level the landscape, then put down gravel, pave the road, and then use that wood I just mentioned to rebuild a bridge. I mean, the possibilities here are endless. This is a milestone in gaming. It's so damn exciting. And when I showed you all this game about 8 months ago, or maybe it was 5 months ago, I don't know, I can't remember, I've been excited ever since, and everybody comes around every so often and is still commenting on that video like crazy about how cool it is to be able to use these vehicles, not for construction or destruction, but like a little bit of both. It's not a destruction game, it's not a construction game, it's not a driving game, it's not a base building game, but yet it is all those things at the same time. It totally is. Being able to manage all those resources and possibly even build and upgrade our base with that is cool as hell. Now, I've been looking around and feeling around for news on this one. Our good friend Nicholas, as you know, who's joined us a ton in SnowRunner and also in MudRunner, has basically given me all the information that we have at the moment. One thing funny about this game so far is that it's been delayed from May 13th to May 20th, but I think that was just somebody uploading the wrong date to the Steam store page. This game is available on Steam right now, so you can go and take a look at more information for it, but this is just gorgeous. I mean, looking at all these videos of American equipment and like Soviet equipment and things like that that have been used to make hundreds of thousands, if not millions of kilometers of roads is exciting. We have forestry equipment here, we have rollers, we have pavers, we have dump trucks, we have vehicles that are used to lay cable and to do so in really like rough terrain. And I don't know, I mean, that seems really cool to be able to find a short route between two locations and then go cut down a bunch of trees and make the road is cool. The replayability of this to build roads that are easy and then to build roads that are hard and then try to make them look really good, that's just satisfying. I mean, even looking at just repetitively this trailer is so exciting. I just can't express how, I don't know, satisfying that is to see trees cut down, to have players then come and pick that up, and then to have everybody work in unison to then dump down soil, somebody to then pave over it, and then somebody to use a roller is just cool. Now, I hope in the future we get some mods for this game too that allow us to do more advanced road building and also maybe install things like guardrails and other things to make it look good. Man, we've always wanted to build roads in SnowRunner, and hell, the only thing that I've always wanted to do in SnowRunner, which I always thought was a small ask, was to be able to just push rocks off the side of the road. I mean, if you've ever played any amount of SnowRunner, it is so annoying sometimes to have to like drive around the same rocks and boulders that are on the road. Like, why not push that out of the way? But here, the borders of like what's possible have been pushed to like the 11th degree. It's insane, and the locations are very good too. Now, one concern from some people about these maps is that they'll be rather small because, of course, well, there's 8 of them, and so they couldn't have like 8 100-kilometer by 100-kilometer maps. And I'm okay with that, because if they give us a medium or a smaller size map to work on, but give us a lot of things to do, including building the roads ourselves, that's cool. I would like to 100% every single world, and this game could have the things that are present in SnowRunner already, where we go around the map to be able to find vehicles to unlock them. Now, this does open a door for a massive amount of DLC, and I do actually like that about SnowRunner. I've been playing SnowRunner since, what, 2020? And that game now has yet another season coming soon, too. I think we're going up to Ontario to do oil drilling and like, build or rebuild oil rigs and piping systems, and so I think that's a little bit of a test of what we'll see here. But it seems so cool to be able to go to a junkyard in this game, pick up scrap, bring it back, and make other things ourselves. It's really giving us the freedom of a vehicle crafting game, which I only thought was available in like a base builder, like in Rust or other survival games where you go out with a pickaxe and an axe and you cut down an entire forest and mine an entire quarry, and you're able to build houses and stuff that way. But this is how things would really, truly be done. Driving around in vehicles to scout out, going and picking up things, crafting it into other things, and making the route more efficient. And that is something that goes beyond these vehicles. Using the map features to be able to find the shortest route and then to be able to build and plan accordingly is really cool. And that's why I want to be able to play with more players, because it seems like there's a lot of things to do off and on the road, and then building the road yourself. This is perfect. This is something we've always wanted, and I don't even think we knew it that we wanted it. But a few months ago, so many people were just blown away by the trailer, and so was I, and I'm happy to see a little bit more on the gameplay of the game. This isn't, I guess, official gameplay in terms of it just being a solid gameplay video, but it is cool to see the game actually being played and showcased by the devs a bit. That goes beyond just like a cinematic trailer, showing some of the menus here and some of the maps and systems that will be used to craft and to explore and then to plan routes is really cool. But the game itself looks good. I gotta say, it doesn't look any better than SnowRunner or MudRunner, which is an Expedition and MudRunner game, but this is perfect. Like, I don't really think the graphics need to be any better, because they're really like just crisp and pristine and so beautiful to see trees in the sunlight. However, I could do without a day-night cycle, honestly. I can't tell you how many times in SnowRunner I just want to keep it daytime. It's so annoying to drive around at nighttime, but it's something you could turn on for realism. And if this game has a hardcore mode where you have to effectively manage fuel, man, that's going to add a very interesting element of construction and logistics and exploration at the same time. And I guess technically this isn't really a building game, it's a rebuilding game, because we're trying to rebuild a society or a part of the map that's been destroyed. And so although I believe there's going to be some things we're building for the first time, I think the emphasis is around like destruction and about things going wrong and trying to heal the world that has been destroyed by so much devastation. Earthquakes and storms and like giant winds and floods, of course, are always present here. But anyway, before I go any further, I wanted to showcase the trailer here for you for Roadcraft, a gameplay overview from the devs, and then I wanted to show you another trailer which we saw before and talk all about it, because this is a game that everybody needs to be talking about.
Welcome to Roadcraft, a groundbreaking simulation of heavy machinery. Immerse yourself in vast, disaster-stricken environments, powered by a new advanced technology. Enjoy unparalleled interaction with your surroundings and the next level of real-time physics for elements like sand, water, and asphalt. Step into the boots of a frontline rebuilder. Deployed across the globe's most devastated regions, you and a specialized reconstruction team will revive shattered industries and restore hope where it's needed most. Explore 8 massive maps, each spanning over 4 kilometers square, that transport you all around the world. From treacherous mountains and dense forests to unforgiving deserts, every region is packed with critical missions and optional contracts. Earn funds and experience to expand your fleet, unlock cutting-edge machinery, and take on even greater challenges. Your skills and your vehicles are the only thing standing between ruin and recovery. Floods, earthquakes, sandstorms, every disaster brings unimaginable tests of skill and ingenuity. Reach remote areas and assess the damage with your scout and its exploration devices. Clear your path with bulldozers equipped with precision graders. Remove debris manually or in automatic mode, paving the way forward. Cranes can remove damaged infrastructure and replace it with freshly crafted components. Got a ruptured pipeline? Collect scattered resources, recycle them, and craft brand new parts at your facilities. Take charge as the Chief of Operations, where you'll manage your own convoys, coordinate their tasks, and automate processes to maximize their efficiency. Use precision waypointing to streamline logistics between factories and ensure the seamless flow of essential resources like timber, steel, and concrete. Make sure no obstacle stands in the way of your plans. When roads fail, craft your own. Gather your road-building fleet. Lay sand or asphalt to forge new paths, turning impassable terrain into reliable routes. Construct vital crossings using harvested timber or reinforced concrete to reconnect isolated areas. As you progress, unlock advanced machinery for increasingly intricate jobs. Electrify blackout zones with your cable layer. Refill your trucks on site with a mobile quarry, and tackle challenges your way. Every vehicle brings a new solution to the table. Rebuilding doesn't have to be a solo mission. Roadcraft offers up to 4-player co-op, letting you divide tasks, take on side quests, or join forces to accomplish major goals. Experiment, collaborate, and make use of the game's physics engine to explore every creative solution, even the boldest ones. In the face of chaos, your leadership brings hope. The world won't rebuild itself, so join us on the site to set things right. Get behind the wheel, take control, and reshape the aftermath. One task at a time. Pre-order Roadcraft now on PS5, Xbox Series, and PC.
So this absolutely is a game we need to talk about, and everybody should be talking about. These systems need to be present in more games, and imagine if it were something a little bit beyond this game, and a game that also had survival elements and maybe even like a more open world element. Or think about how realistic farming sim or construction simulator could be if we got to also demolish buildings. But this is a big milestone for me in terms of simulators. This is outstanding. The worlds look impressive and beautiful, and I think they've just done a great job of kind of making this seem like a game that is a devastating game where it's like, oh no, everything's been destroyed, it's hopeless, like what? And then you have to become the hope and rebuild those industries, and that's going to be a real big sense of pride. And that's a big thing that I think a lot of people kind of forget about in a game, is that sure, there's a lot of accomplishments and achievements and stories and a lot of things to do to 100% a game, but there's also that feeling of, I built this, I constructed this, I got to this point. This is my world now. That's a little different than an RPG. In a simulator like this, especially when we can actually terraform the land, that's going to be something where if you invite a friend to your server, or if you're working on something with somebody, you could say we did it together. And that shouldn't be overlooked, because there's a really just, I can't even define it. That's something that doesn't go into a Steam review. That's something that you can kind of only feel by doing it. And that's why I continue to return to SnowRunner. And we're going to look at some images now of the world that they're crafting, that we then, well, that they've kind of destroyed too, that we get to rebuild and remove cars, from roads and put them onto flatbeds and drive vehicles around to explore. And yeah, this sets a new precedent for me and a new standard in what I want for games that are simulators and open world that allow us to explore in vehicles. And I think really Saber and the games that they've been making, including another zombie survival game that you might not have heard of, called is it Toxic Commando X? I always forget the name. I think it is Toxic Commando, and it actually does seem to feature off-road vehicles and also shooting, a little combination of a game by the name of Back for Blood, which also is a little bit like Left 4 Dead, plus SnowRunner's like off-road driving. So this system of giving us all these types of vehicles in a world that has all this different terrain, viscosity, and like both asphalt, sand, gravel, and rock all act differently under the vehicles is incredible. Like, this could be applied to any game that has off-road driving or vehicles. And so I would really expect them to build like a construction game next, and a farming simulator game next, and hell, even throw some of these mechanics into a hunting simulator too, where you go off into the woods and have to get through a few puddles and things like that to get to where the deer are, or the duck, or whatever. And yeah, so the world, impressive. These guys continue to make games that are like what we wanted. Like when, for example, Spin Tires was out. After that, when Mud Runner was announced, it was like, wow, this is great and even getting better. But I'd like to build more in the world. And then when SnowRunner allowed us to do that by rebuilding bridges and rebuilding garages and actually making it possible to repair things and to craft things and then to bring them to where we wanted to bring them, it was like, well, that's cool, but now I want to build roads. And here we are. It's like they've been listening, and they're one step ahead of the game. Now, a lot of the technology that we're seeing here is stuff we've seen before for SnowRunner. But I think, and with Expeditions as well, they've taken things that worked for both of those games, including the engines and the graphics and things like that, and have just brought them to like 2025 standards. But polish them up a little bit, mix them together, add new things that we've always wanted, and that is a winning formula. And to be fair, I don't think developers have to do much to impress us other than just give us the stuff that we want, that we've been asking for. And oftentimes they're very obvious, and we're quite vocal about what we'd like to see in their next game or next sequel, and this is something that I never thought we would see. I didn't think that they would be able to do this, and sometimes developers don't listen or it's impossible to do these things, but I mean, it's really cool to be able to see small scouting vehicles doing more than just zipping around a map like you would see in Expeditions, but that game even adding some things to that I really respect, like going into tunnels and caves and driving around in that game. So yeah, props to all the developers working under the Saber, both as a publisher and as a developer of different games too. They're really doing some great stuff, and I've heard only good things from the community that's trying to communicate with them, but I think there's been some secrets too. They've been not communicating with us because I think they've been trying to build some hype and may not have some answers on things that they're trying to do, and things that they'd like to do but they're not sure, and give them, a test before they actually allow us to get in there. But I am hoping for systems to be able to operate some of these cranes that we've been seeing. It's really a juicy morsel to be able to operate a tower crane at a port, or a crane that's like loading salvage, or maybe loading up containers on and off of trains. That'd be an extra bonus. I don't know if we could do that. I don't think they will, but it would just be awesome to me. But yeah, I just honestly can't stop looking at this game. I just want to keep on talking about it, and I want to play it. Now, May is actually kind of right around the corner. If you think about it, I mean, we're in the early parts of January, but for as quickly as 2024 went for me and so many other people, I feel like it's going to be March before we know it. We got big games like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 coming out, and also Civ 7, and I'll be playing the hell out of that before I play this. But there's also, of course, as I mentioned, that new season of SnowRunner coming around too, and I think there's also going to be new stuff for MudRunner coming out as well. Now, I believe some of the same folks who are community managers and possibly working on some of these systems and teams are working on both games, so it will be really interesting to see how they're able to make new DLC for SnowRunner and keep that fresh. And I'm going to be blown away if they are able to keep that game going for a few more years, as well as MudRunner, which not as many people were interested in because it's truly out in the middle of nowhere. Those games differ because one is kind of like Roadcraft, or in SnowRunner you are oftentimes rebuilding and helping out people who are desolated, as in like they're living in desolation and need some help or some supplies that only you can bring, or there's been a flood or a storm or something like that. But in Expeditions, that you're in the middle of nowhere, doing oftentimes scientific expeditions where people don't yet live, and so you're looking for things like minerals and crashed airplanes and things that are just in the middle of nowhere. So there seems to be something for everybody with these games. I mean, I've wanted this game since the moment I was born, and I just didn't know it. I didn't know this would be possible, but who the hell wouldn't want to drive a bulldozer and plow through a wall? I mean, I've literally driven tanks before in real life. I have driven a few German tanks, American tanks and whatnot. I've even driven the tank that Matthew McConaughey drives in Reign of Fire. I mean, check it out. It's like a chieftain tank. I crushed a car with the damn thing, and it's an incredible feeling to be able to have all that horsepower and weight of the armor, yet feel so light. And so my mind goes back to that when we finally get to drive tracked vehicles for the first time. That's been a new thing in this game too, and that's something that's been modded in before. But yeah, I'm just filled with all sorts of hype and excitement. So anyway, yeah, that's all my thoughts for today. I wanted you to let me know down below what some of your thoughts and opinions were on Roadcraft coming out May 20th. And here's the first trailer to watch at the end. Enjoy.
When I was a kid, I couldn't wait to leave this town behind. But what's that saying? Man plans and God laughs? Well, he must have had a good one on my account. When the water receded, it carried away everything we ever had. It also gave me a reason to stay. Truth is, we can't stop what's coming. The important thing is that we rebuild.